KwaZulu-Natal had the honor of being one of the stops for the Pacific Partnership of 2019. Pacific Partnership is the largest annual multilateral all-hazards preparedness mission in the Indo-Pacific region. This team of multinational service members arrived aboard Military Sealift Command Expeditionary Fast Transport Ship USNS BRUNSWICK. Captain PADDY Allen of the Royal Navy is the Director of Mission for this year's partnership.
From England, Southwest, and I'm very pleased to be here as the Director of Mission for Pacific Partnership 2019. It's a great privilege to be here, and as a United Kingdom officer, this is the second year that the United Kingdom have held the position of Director of Mission within Pacific Partnership 19. We've had UK officers on board, so we have a large multinational, large skill set of, we've got Army on board, US Navy, US Marines on board, so we've got a very wide church of individuals. They are all absolutely professional and they are a pleasure to work with. And personally, I have learned a huge amount from working with them.
This is Pacific Partnership's fourth visit to the Marshall Islands since their first time in 2007. The service members worked alongside Marshallese and Kwajalein to host events ranging from humanitarian assistance, disaster relief seminars, engineering projects, medical partnerships, and host nation engagements.
So Pacific Partnership in itself started in 2006 following the horrendous events of the tsunami in 2004. And what it is aimed is it has moved forward over the years, and it started very much as direct medical care. So the MSC vessel, that's the Maritime Sealift Command, the USNS Mercy, Comfort, the big hospital ships, they would be the ships that would go round and deliver the direct medical care. But over the years, and especially in the last two iterations of Pacific Partnership, the mission has evolved to try and build resilience within the nations that we visit. If you think about it as a house, on the roof of the house is humanitarian aid and disaster relief, the thing that is providing that overall protection for the nation. That roof is supported by two elements. One is infrastructure and infrastructure resilience. And a really good example was the project that we've just completed in Majurio last week, which was water catchment, 12,000 gallons in a school. But the school in a time of disaster becomes the national rescue place where the local community will go and gather. So helping the community, but also building that resilience into the infrastructure. But we also work with the local authorities to talk about things like preventative maintenance. How can I make what we have got last longer and more efficiently? How can we do energy resilience, conservation and renewable energies? All of these things which are challenging. The other pillar or wall is medical, what was traditionally the main effort of Pacific Partnership 19, but it is now focused on trying to help those nations, rather than providing direct care, is to work alongside them, side by side, to train with them. So some really good projects we'll be doing is making babies breathe. There's a very high mortality rate within the Marshall Islands from death post-birth. How do we work with the midwifery teams, etc., to get those better statistics and help that through the training? Into theatre, wound care. We've brought about 30 medical staff with us. We cover a plethora of different skill sets, and they've been working along side by side. And the final thing is, all of this is irrelevant if you don't bring the community along with you. So the floor or the base of the house is the community. And we brought with us the Pacific Fleet Band, because music brings people together. And once we get them together, we then do health fairs, we do education, talking about tuberculosis, talking about diabetes and diet, talking about other issues which affect the day-to-day life. In other words, trying to prevent some of the illnesses which overwhelm the medical facilities on the island.
This partnership puts lots of attention on engaging the people because they understand the importance of community and working with the residents already in these areas. As opposed to just fixing issues, they also teach the people how to prevent and combat potential issues themselves. As we know, knowledge is power.
There are 29 nursing outposts around the island, and we will have looked and had an impact, a direct impact on most probably about 8 of those as we go, whether that's on the Jura itself or whether it's over to Arno or Roynamil where we're putting teams across. But by working side by side with them and increasing their level of knowledge and giving them the confidence that hopefully that they can then go to the other nursing outreaches and provide and transfer some of that best practice that we have learned. But to take it away, talking to the medical teams here, they themselves have learnt a huge amount about how the locals and the local authorities deal with it. Because I think all too easily we get very used to operating with everything available to us. And in actual fact, they don't. So they have to adapt their procedures to be able to operate in restricted equipment. And sometimes that's not a bad thing for us to just remember every now and again, that you can't have everything all the time. So the teams have learnt a huge amount from the Maduro staff and again the other outreach staff that they've had here in the Marshall Islands.
The work done for the Marshallese during their time here was great. The impact will last much longer than the brief time they were able to spend here. But of course, that's the goal during each of their visits. It's to have a long-lasting impact that can extend far beyond their stay.
As a father of 2 girls, that link of you look at, I was always told when you become a parent that you die 1,000 deaths every time something happens to your children. And to come out here and see the robustness of the Marshallese people, to see the heartstrings pulled of roughy-tufty sailors and army who are above all of this, who when children stand in front of them and sing thank you for building a 12,000 gallon, you suddenly see not very many dry eyes. It gets back to the more personal, the emotional side, the human side of what we are about. All too often we think about the combat side, but actually this is a really important. This is about building partnership, a friendship, solidarity with our new friends here, and peace and security in the region. And there are other ways to achieve that, and this is a really good mechanism of trying to build that peace and security in the region.
One group that had a massive impact on the mission was the Naval Band, made up of members from the US Navy, Japanese Maritime Defense Force, and the Royal Australian Navy.
The band is made up of 5 American, 3 Japanese and 2 Australian band members. They are absolutely superb. I've been listening to them for the last 12 days.
One of the band members, able seaman Doug Ross, who joined the Royal Australian Navy later in his life, described the job as this.
So basically we're giving musical support and going around and engaging with the communities and the schools and the children and trying to get them excited about the idea of Pacific Partnership, which is about cooperation and people learn to talk to one another and learning how, even though we're all different cultures, different languages, that we can actually work together to make all of our lives better.
The band got to visit and perform at various locations, from Innaburo to Ebi, Ebon, and more. They also got the chance to visit with these locals in these areas. The children got to visit with the band and see what other talent the band was capable of.
So much for having us. Thank you for having us here in Ebi. Thank you for allowing us to come bring our music to you and share it with you. At that, I'm going to turn it over to the LKC band, and you'll hear from us a little bit later.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. First of all, we played for the elementary school, and so they were there, and they did the basketball sports with other Navy people. And then we played a concert for them, and it was a lot of fun. And they sang along to some of the songs, which is always a lot of fun, because then you feel like there's a connection between you and the audience. and they clapped and they had a good time. Yeah. And then later in the evening we did a community concert with the ukulele band and the singers there, and that was a lot of fun too, because you're dealing with people who play different music to what I'm normally playing. Like we're normally playing ceremonial and stuff, and they're playing these Marshallese tunes, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Pacific Partnership's mission in the Pacific, I think, is very important. I think as the world becomes a smaller place and all of the countries have to communicate and cooperate with one another, that these kinds of events help facilitate that learning and understanding that's required to be able to move forward as humanity should into the future.
Quite a bit of talent right here in EBI. There's something special going on here in EBI. That was very, very wonderful.
Music is like all the other things that you need to learn. It develops skills in how to organise yourself, how to listen to others, how to put the music first, or to put something else in front of yourself, and then you have to work as a team. And the more that you can work as a team together, the easier and better things are. So music's just another element of how to learn to live with other people in the world, realistically.
The band is made up of people that had never met prior to this partnership and was able to quickly form something coherent with what they had. They contacted the embassy for music recommendations, and with the use of the internet, quickly got to work.
So in music, everyone has to put the music first and cooperate and compromise. And then you can get a product at the end that everyone's working together, and then that end product is greater than you could possibly do by yourself. So it's a real team sort of thing. And I think it was more about, well, what's the audience? The audience is a community audience. You probably don't have a vast experience in strict classical music. So you want stuff that's fun and it'll engage the community. And also when you go to schools, you want stuff that children can relate to. So if they can't relate to it, then you're not doing your job as a musician. So the job of a musician is to interact with the audience and to create something. And if you're not doing that, then you're failing as a musician.
The U.S. Navy Military Sealift Command's futuristic-looking USNS Brunswick was the eye-catching mode of transport that the majority of the Pacific Partnership service members took to get to the Marshalls. The officers on board gave local public affairs staff a special tour of the vessel. The British Royal Navy's Captain Patrick Allen led the way. A Spearhead-class expeditionary fast transport ship, the Brunswick is built for speed. Its diesel engines can push her along at 43 knots and carry 600 short tons of armaments up to a distance of between 1,200 and 1,800 nautical miles. 6 Abrams tanks can fit comfortably in this cargo hold, along with hundreds of troops on the deck above and 20,000 square feet of supplies throughout the vessel. Captain Allen stops in the area they call 312, based on the number of seats here, to explain a bit about what the ship does.
So whilst we can bring, or the MSC can bring lots of equipment on board, the tanks, etc., we've heard about the high speed, this expeditionary thing it's about getting from A to B quickly and offloading. So 312 seats in here and 104 bunks. You'd be laid back in the seat, dozing. All of the weapons would go up forward, and it's about getting from A to B quickly, disembark, and then move on to the next mission. So we're using this here as briefing areas, relaxing areas.
The key to the Brunswick's speediness is a combination of her multi-hull design and also the materials she's comprised of. She's not made of a combination of steel and stainless steel like the vast majority of other ships. Rather, she's practically all aluminum, which makes her light and very nimble.
The warships which I've got, which are on steel design, heavier design, etc., etc., unless you use stainless steel, like aluminium, you are going to have corrosion. And you've been on previous ships. It is a constant job trying to keep on top of the corrosion, because as soon as you put steel, not stainless steel, with salt water, that's it. You're straight into the rust. So the paint, as soon as you chip the paint back, etc., etc., it's a never-ending process. These, just keep going. Give them a wash off every now and again.
We make it to the bridge where Alan gives an on-camera interview.
Because the warship is great. It's a hull. You look at USNS Brunswick, aluminium in design, but it's just a heap of metal. The only thing which brings it alive are the sailors that are in it, who deliver total professional and leading sailors. Now, as I look back on 33 years and just coming in, that's what I enjoy most and have enjoyed most in the last 33 years. And the job I'm going back to when I return to the UK is about being back at sea and leading sailors. That's what it's about.
On the bridge, we also take the opportunity to speak with Corey Holland, operations officer aboard the Brunswick in the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet AOR. He explains more of the ship's overall mission, what makes them different than the rest, and the voyage out to the Marshalls for the Pacific Partnership.
Whatever required joint missions, anything they can come up with that they want us to do, we do.
Everything about it makes it unique. The building is built out of aluminum, twin hull, jet propulsion, ro-ro capabilities. Everything about this ship is different than any other ship in the United States Navy, whether it's auxiliary or USS. So light ship, we can do 43 knots. Heavy, being fully loaded, we're capable of doing 35 knots for 1,800 miles. Just shy of 50 miles an hour.
On the water.
On the water. It does feel fast when you're doing that. Such a big ship and moving that fast. But it's pretty impressive. It is different. You don't need bow thrusters. The nature of a jet-driven vessel, at this size, just gives you a lot of thrust. 50,000 horsepower. It's only 9,500 gross tons, so it's very light with a lot of horsepower. So you have a lot of thrust. It handles very well. It's a big floating box, so the wind has a lot of sail area this wind can catch. But anything under 20 knots, you can maneuver the ship any way you would like. Very maneuverable. It was challenging getting out here. So in order to make the mission, we had to, we were listening to, the needs of the mission staff. We're listening to the Navy. We're listening to our headquarters. It was challenging getting the ship over here in the seas that we were given by Mother Nature. I mean, it was very challenging, but at the same time, it was nice seeing all the Navy, deal with what we have, get to see what we have to deal with on a regular basis. These are not meant to be open ocean transiting vessels. They're very thin aluminum hulls, and so we did everything we could to get here on time and make the mission happen and not hurt the ship.
The ship's stern is like the top side of a tiny aircraft carrier. Helicopters and more material can fit up here very easily. fastest way to sailors' hearts, Alan reminds us, is via food. He takes us through the galley, which oddly sort of resembles a classic American dining. It's small, meaning the men and women on board must eat in shifts and do so expeditiously. We run into other ship staff and crew while snaking through the hallways of the transport ship. Everyone on board has a role to play, from navigation to logistics and cooking. They all play a hand in making the Pacific Partnership 2019 a success.
This tiny island of Kwajalein is jam-packed with talent. Some of the talent graced the stage at the Keystone and Torch Club's annual variety show at the MP Room March the 24th. This year's event was to help raise money for the largest ocean cleanup in history with a goal of $1,000. This Ocean Cleanup Foundation uses advanced technology to rid oceans of plastic, and their models indicate that a full-scale system rollout could clean up 50% of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch in 5 years. Thanks to the guests giving donations, the community managed to raise about $850 for the foundation. There were many talents to entertain that night, from singing,
so call out my name. Call out my name when I kiss you so gently. You hear the whisper of the words, no early one, but you say it so cool. Came and breathed new life into this lonely heart of mine. You threw out the lifeline just in the nick of time. Zombies in the park, they're looking for my heart. Whoa, oh, oh, oh.
to dancing,
when I fell down, you'd be there holding me up. Spread your
some comedy,
Like, these things are so weird out on this island, and they're just normal to me now. They've been normalized, and I don't question any of them. And then you get thinking, and you think too hard, and then you're like, oh, you can make a stand-up set out of it. So I did.
and more.
Or would you rather be a mule? A mule is an animal with long, funny ears. It kicks up at anything he hears.
It's always heartwarming to see the community come together to raise money for such an important organization. Speaking of talent, we also had some young talent on island that showed their skills at the elementary school talent show.
easy to talk to, but hard to explain. What do I
And of course, we can't forget the talent that turned out at the 19th annual Spring Break Music Fest. Thanks to all who graced the stage and for those who came out to support.